Hello and welcome to Meet Our Makers. I am your host, Jeremy J. Facette. On this episode, we get to meet Jonathan Meiburg. Jonathan is probably best known as the lead singer and songwriter for the band Shearwater, who are coming up on their 20th anniversary next year. He is also a member of the band Loma, who released their debut album in 2018 and are currently working on their sophomore record. In this chat, Jonathan and I touch upon everything from his various musical pursuits, the book that he's been working on, inspired by natural history and his love of birds, as well as movies we love and creativity and what it's like to really get in your own head as a writer. We also talk about how he's been holding up with the current pandemic and what he's doing with his time to keep himself grounded and sane. So please enjoy, and thank you for listening. This is me meeting Jonathan Meiburg.
Okay these days. I think Bill McKibben, the writer, said the head of 350.org said that there's some overlap between freelance writing and self-quarantine. So as I've been trying to finish up a book that I've been working on for about 6 years, and really almost 20 years in some ways. So it's been a good time for me to do that, and also to work on to finish up the new Loma record. And I just walked in I'm working on a new Shearwater record right now also.
Oh, wow, so you have a lot of plates spinning at the moment.
Yeah, the new Loma record is done. We've turned it in, and they're just talking about when they're going to release it. And the book I just sent into my editor. I hope it's one of the last drafts of it. There's still some. Books are such a long process, and they have so many different parts to them that it feels like it never really ends. But if I land the rest of it on schedule, which I ought to be able to do, it'll actually be published next March or something like that.
Oh, okay. So how many drafts would you say you've turned in so far?
This would be the third.
Okay.
And the first one, his edits become more and more granular as we go. The first draft, it had some general direction from him. The second, it had more direction still, basically, and then the third had a the third was in response to his first set of line edits, where he actually printed out the entire manuscript and went through with a pencil and sent it to me. It's kind of old school.
That reminds me of grad school.
It was exciting to get that thing. This big cinder block of a landed on my desk. I was terrified of it for a while.
Yeah, but it's also probably the kind of thing that maybe writers don't get every time.
No,
it's a lot of guidance.
It is, and I really, really appreciate it. There's some things that I've been fighting him on over, like the title and stuff like that. But as I'm looking at his line edits, I'm really amazed at how they are for the most part.
Well, I appreciate you taking time out of your day to talk to me then, if you're,
of course.
You have all these things going on.
Yeah, well, this is the thing, is that I'm out in rural Texas, or about an hour outside of Austin. And so it helps to have these projects to kind of keep pulling you forward. But they're all so long, and they all have such giant arcs to them that you don't get that feeling of finishing anything very often.
Right. I have felt, I don't know, I mean, you have a few projects going on, it seems, but I have felt that the quarantine has been sort of stalling to my creativity. Because I'm a writer, and I'm an editor and songwriter, and I am always doing things, even if I end up not loving them, I'm always doing them. But I've had trouble making too much right now.
Well, it's hard to keep your attention focused on any one thing. I think that one of the symptoms of the the quarantine, there's just this general baseline level of anxiety that makes everything harder to stay in.
Yeah, for sure.
And so I think, well, like right now, what we're working on in the Shearwater record was some sessions that we opened up a few months ago, and I hadn't listened to them since then. And so we've got this basic framework to work with. But if I were going to try to write new songs right now, for some reason, I think that would be more difficult.
Yeah, it kind of maybe helps that you had this thing recorded before this all started, or at least started before this all started.
Yeah, exactly.
To go off of.
Exactly. So it kind of provides some momentum.
Yeah, because I mean, I usually just record in my home office when I feel like it, which is one of the benefits of just doing this, doing music on such a small scale, because you can kind of just do it whenever. But I tend to write pretty quickly, and I have, made multiple projects in a year before, and this time there's just like nothing. I'm just finding it really hard because it's not, I don't know, quarantine isn't very inspiring.
No, it's no, not in a
narrative.
You just feel like you're being not in a narrative way. Exactly. That's a good way of saying it.
So I've just had trouble. I mean, I have a screenplay I started last year that I haven't even been able to look at in quarantine, despite everybody being like, "Oh, you have so much time. You should finish all these things." But it's much easier said than done.
What was that your first screenplay?
No, I mean, I did one in college. I was an English and a film major in college, so I did one in college as an independent study because that was just like a goal of mine to get a full-length screenplay written before I graduated.
Yeah.
Because it wasn't something that was built into the curriculum to do. And then I started a new one last fall, I want to say. I haven't ever gotten one made. I mean, I've made my own short films, but I've never gotten a full-length made because those are
that's sort of the next thing that I'd really like to try to do is I have one idea for a movie, and I would the thought of writing another giant natural history epic is I would rather die than ever take on another project of this scope again.
Right.
But there is one story that I'd like to tell, and I think it could be an incredible movie. In fact, so much so that it already was made into a movie. But it was a really terrible one, and it was a long time ago, and nobody remembers it.
Oh, well, then even if they remembered it, I'm sure you're fine.
Yeah, no, I'm not worried about that part, but it's and it would still have a natural history aspect to it. It would kind of be a little bit like somewhere between Castaway and like the Planet Earth series in terms of what it would look like.
Yeah, okay.
but there were these. It was the story of these two German geologists who ended up trying to wait out World War II in the desert in Namibia.
Is this a true story?
Yeah, it's a true story. One of them wrote a book about it afterwards, and they lived out there in the desert for years. And they had a radio where they could hear what was going on back in the world, back in the rest of the world. But in the meantime, they were having to hunt for their own food and contend with a troop of baboons that lived in the canyon. And their dog was always getting into trouble, and they would fight with each other, and they would argue about what on earth civilization was even for if it only seemed to exist to destroy itself so elaborately.
For some reason, this sounds familiar, but I don't think I've seen the movie that
is
out there and based on it.
Probably not.
Yeah.
I mean, in a way, it'd be like a two-hander, but you'd have to have a lot of the wildlife effects would have to be really good.
Yeah, and I mean, the only person really doing that kind of shit right now is Jon Favreau, doing like the Lion King stuff right now.
Oh yeah, well, yeah, that it. I don't know. I'm so ignorant about the world of CGI and what it really takes to do a good job.
Oh well, me too.
But that's sort of a daydream place. You have these projects that you're not in the nitty gritty of them at all. It's a safe place for your imagination to wander around sometimes if you're being beset by all the things you're working on. I think John Gardner, the novelist, said you should always work on multiple novels at once so that you can put off one by working on another one.
See,
I'm losing you. I don't know why. Let's go ahead.
Oh, can you not hear me?
Not well. No, it's telling me my internet connection is unstable.
Oh, that could be why.
That happens out here. It usually gets better on its own. Kind of like kind of like Trump was hoping the coronavirus would do.
Right, it'll just miraculously get better.
One day it's a miracle. It'll just be gone.
I know that's gonna go. That quote is just gonna go down in infamy.
I really enjoy writing in his voice for some reason. It lets me get out sort of all of my venom at him. There's something really satisfying about it. I don't know why. It's like, having a little marionette that just says things like him. And the more, the closer I get to his actual cadence, if I'm doing that, the happier it makes me. I don't know why.
That's funny. I know. I don't know if I would be able to get myself to do that.
Well, it's very distinctive. Because everybody talks about how it doesn't make any sense, but it does, kind of, because people always do follow it. And
Mhm.
so he's always sort of making these great leaps, like a trapeze artist or something, from the beginning of one sentence to the beginning of the next one, and you're just supposed to understand what the rest of that sentence was going to be.
Oh, it's totally true. I mean, if you read like the transcripts of his speeches, the syntax is wild.
Well,
It's just all over the
they're
place.
mesmerizing in that way. You look at it, and on the one hand, you look at it and go, God, there's just nothing here. And on the other hand, and yet something was communicated. So it's the kind of
Right.
dialogue that, like, a really good actor could take and make something out of it. Speaking of
Wow.
dialogue, I was just watching that. It was the second time I've ever seen it. I watched that Mike Leigh film, Mr. Turner. Did you ever see that?
I saw that one time. I saw it in the theater. I haven't watched it since.
Um, I was blown away by that movie when I saw it, and I've talked to a number of people who hated it, partly because he seemed so loathsome in certain ways, and
Hmm.
I have sympathy for that. I can understand that. Like, if you can't get past that, then you're not going to like the movie.
Right.
But that aside, oh my God, I think that movie is like as good as anything Kubrick ever did. It's so good. The characterizations are so wonderful. And I was talking with another friend who said that he'd actually read the script, the screenplay for it.
Mm.
And I don't know if Mike Leigh did it this way, but the way he usually does his movies is he gets his stable of actors together, and they're usually kind of mostly the same actors.
Right.
Uh, and they do these improvs for weeks
Yeah,
on
they
certain
like
scenes.
build the characters up themselves, right? And then don't they like kind of make the script out of the improvisations?
Yeah, they make the
Something
script
like
out of the
that.
improvisation. Yeah, exactly. And so you record all the improvs, and then you make you digest what they've said and into the actual script, and then you do that. So, uh, which fascinates me as a process.
I
But if
know.
they did that in this movie with all this sort of this 18th century diction, it's just astounding. And my friend said that that script does absolutely nothing that movie scripts are supposed to do.
Well, Mike Leigh has sort of I think he's always done it that way. And I think Mr. Turner was that way, which yeah, is remarkable. To do any sort of period piece with improv, I think is insane and
Well, yeah,
crazy impressive.
it takes, and it's so beautiful too. It's like it takes a very, something you think of as a conventional thing that which is the period piece,
Hmm.
and puts it in this very unconventional structure, but it's very
Right.
sly about it. The camera is not zooming around all over the place, or all the things we think of when we think of like an unconventional film.
Yeah.
It's like it's a super unconventional film that looks very conventional. I just adore it. I
Yeah.
go on and on about that movie.
I need to see it again because when I first saw it, I thought it was a little too slow for me. Although I did think it was beautiful, because
Try again.
it's very beautiful. Yeah, I know. I usually love Mike Leigh. He's made some of my favorite movies. I mean, Secrets and Lies is so good.
Yep.
Happy Go Lucky is so good. Another Year is so good. So
Topsy Turvy. Topsy Turvy is one of
that's
my
the only
favorite films of all
that's the
time.
only yeah, that's one of the few I haven't seen.
Oh
I
man,
do
it's so good.
I know I own it. I have the Criterion release, but I've just never gotten around to watching it. I'm sure I'll like it. Um,
It's very, very funny,
yeah.
and in some ways kind of sweet, but not in a saccharine way. Like, the happiness in it is like real happiness.
I haven't seen his most recent one, Peterloo.
I saw about half it on an airplane, and I thought it was a little stilted. It seemed a little bit like it was trying to jam too many of the
Mm.
events into one place. But on an airplane is not the best place to watch anything.
Especially probably like a slow historical drama. I
Something's
don't know.
yeah. I don't know. Stuff never seems slow to me. It's just always the richness comes out of watching the characters being themselves.
And the language.
Yeah, it's not like plot driven. So if you're waiting for like a bunch of plot to happen, you're going to be waiting a while.
Oh yeah,
The
when I try to get people to watch Happy Go Lucky and they ask what it's about, I'm like, it's not about a lot. It's about a woman who's really cheery and she tries to learn how to drive.
yeah.
But it's really, really good, I promise.
Well, one of my favorite plots for a book is man goes on long walk or woman goes on long walk,
And that's the whole plot.
and that's it. It
That's great though.
you can take. It's just so immediately engaging. A little bit like the that Norwegian slow TV thing where it's like just 7 hours of a train journey where it's just park the camera on top of a train and let it go for 7 hours. It's just hard to take your eyes off it. But
Right.
I saw Brian Eno give a talk once where he said that the thing about making really slow art or art that evolves very slowly, whether he's talking about music or visual stuff, is that he was always afraid that people wouldn't have the patience for it. He said, but people will, if it's slow enough, people will slow to its pace.
Hmm. I think
And
that's a good way to put it.
yeah, there's really something to it. There's something very mesmerizing about something that changes very slowly. A lot
Right.
of times in with music, this is something I've discussed with Dan Dazinski, who produced the Loma record and recorded it, mixed it, and I'm working with him on the new Shearwater one. Uh, would worry sometimes about he's made so many records that were 3-minute songs and pop songs and that kind of thing. He said, I'm worried about having too many slow songs, but I kind of feel like maybe the problem is that the songs aren't slow enough. Like if you if you take a slow song and you make it really slow, it's suddenly interesting again somehow,
Well,
or can
maybe
be.
maybe it's something like if it's slow enough, like to speak to what was talking about, if it's slow enough, whether it be a movie or a show or an album, then maybe it like we really like the suspense is sort of more built in, like you're waiting to see what the next movement is or the next note is or the next sound
Yeah, how will this
because
evolve?
yeah, because it's drawn out so much that you're getting all these minutia within the between the two moments as opposed to just rushing to the next moment.
Well, you also really set the at the beginning of the thing. I think you really your job is to set the audience's expectation about
Hmm.
what they can expect from you. You have to both, I feel like, show that they're in good hands, um, but if you present them something that's evolving very slowly, then you go, oh, okay, well that's where we are, and I'm going to accept that.
Right. I mean, some of my favorite music and movies are slow. I don't know. Then if that's true, which it is true, I don't know. Then it's indefinable to me. Then what makes one of them, more my groove than another? I mean, my favorite filmmaker is Kelly Reichardt,
Oh yeah.
who made Wendy and Lucy and Old Joy and all those movies. And her movies are
Hmm.
about very very little plot wise, but they're about so much emotion wise,
Yeah, exactly.
and they move kind of glacially, but I couldn't be more drawn to every moment.
Well,
And
they
it's
tell you,
just something about the rhythm and the world that she creates within these characters that really draws me in.
well, and it tells you what, uh, if you linger on something for a long time, you're saying to your audience that this is important.
Exactly.
And so then your mind, if somebody's telling you that, then your mind's going to go looking for those things, I think.
Right.
With music, the more and more I keep being drawn to stuff that is, um, well, I don't know about slow and as far as tempo goes necessarily, but especially dark as in frequency dark.
Hmm.
Like I'm really, really tired of treble frequencies. I don't know if that's just my ears getting old or what, but
Could
the
just be your taste changing.
well, music that's the recordings that are very dark but clear,
Hmm.
which is kind of a hard balance to get. But uh, those are the things I want to turn up, and people just jam so much treble through things now just because you can, I guess, and it has an effect of making everything sound like it's already coming out of a phone.
That's true. I mean, I sort of noticed that a little bit with the Loma record, the one that you guys put out a couple years ago, that at least compared to Shearwater, it was a little darker, a little more abstract, more minimal, more sound play sort of going on, a little dreamier. So
Oh,
I don't know if that was intentional. It seemed like it was.
well, we made it right here out at the in the country, and on about maybe a fourth of the budget of the last Shearwater record,
Hmm.
and we were really kind of flying by the seat of our pants. And so it was. I mean, I guess a little bit more lo-fi. I think I might, in some ways, like it better though. The Shearwater record, the last one we did, was so shiny and uh, so expensive by my standards, that I don't know if I would make another one like that ever. The one we're working on now is sort of somewhere between those two things,
Hmm.
because I was able to. I mean, Shearwater's out of contract now, so I'm
So you're
finally going
free
to
agents right now.
own a record again,
Yeah.
and we crowdfunded it this last year, and I realized that we were going to. If I didn't do anything, I was amazed that that worked as well as it did, but we hadn't started it by the end of the year, and I realized if I didn't suddenly spend what we'd raised on that on something, that it was mostly going to go away in taxes. So it
Yeah.
was, so suddenly it's like, oh well, what are we going to do? So we basically have kind of invested in studio
Hmm.
stuff that we could, some of which we could then sell later, but at least that way we wouldn't lose it. And so the result was that the studio's gotten much better, and we've learned how to use it over the course of doing the Loma record, and then now we're using it on the Shearwater stuff, and that's been really a pleasure. And it's let us mostly. I feel like the thing with better gear is that you get to more musical places quicker. It's not so
Yeah.
much that you make different choices; it's just you don't spend as much time putting 20 plugins on everything trying to make it sound okay.
Right. So is Loma just the three of you?
Yeah, me and Dan, and then Emily Cross, and then also Emily Lee, who's in Shearwater, toured with us and played some on the new Loma record. So
Oh, okay.
um, she's a presence in it also. And then Matt, but he played bass on it some as well. But also we had this weird experience with that record where uh, we got a last year around Christmas, got a my phone started blowing up and people were saying Eno's playing Loma on the BBC. I was like, what? And it turned out that he was. It was some Boxing Day special where he said that he really liked this band Loma and he'd been listening to this one song over and over. And then a couple of weeks later, he did it on French national radio. And so I was like, all right, well, better reach out then. And so I sent a note saying, like, I do not want you to produce our record, but if you maybe be willing to interact with it a little bit, we'd love to send some tracks. And his manager got back and said, yeah, that'd be great. So we ended up working with him on this record.
Did he like co-produce some of it?
He we basically just he produced one song,
Okay.
um, but we sent him the tracks and he just sent back a mix, and the mix was at the same time not especially different and profoundly different. It's the
Hmm.
last song on the record, and we were just kind of overwhelmed by it. I've never spoken to him at all. It's all been just through his manager and getting these tracks back from him.
That's so interesting that you can have such a sort of big, collaborative moment with someone and never actually speak to them.
Well, and it's, in a way, it's kind of brilliant because it gets rid of the whole like working with a famous person thing where
True, true.
you try to please them, or um, they have to listen to you tell them how much you loved stuff they did 30 years ago, or that kind of thing. And
Hmm.
instead, it just becomes a purely musical communication. But we couldn't have been happier with how that came out, and it really helped set. We got it in again as we were in the later phases of mixing, and it affected the way that we mixed the rest of the record.
Yeah.
But I felt like winning a Nobel Prize to me. I was just like, oh my God, I can't believe this is happening. especially after we'd spent so much time trying to get inside his head to do those reconstructions of those Bowie albums.
Mm. It's funny that you mentioned that because I spoke 2 days ago. I spoke with Thor Harris for this.
Oh
He
yeah,
said he says hi, by the way.
hi Thor.
Um, I told him just incidentally, you two were consecutive responses saying that you talked to me. So that was just by sheer chance, and he said to say hi and that he wants to have a good phone call with you soon.
Good. Yeah, I'd like to talk to him. He's not far away. It's just now, of course, since we're all quarantined, it's just like, well, he hasn't
Yeah,
chosen.
he said you weren't far, but yeah, you guys can't go anywhere. So,
Nope.
but it's funny you mentioned that because he was sort of talking about when he first was getting started, he would just ask people to be in their bands if he
Yep.
liked them, and the ones that we know him from said yes, and obviously other people probably said no, but he was just like, yeah, I just kind of got over the fear of asking because the worst that'll happen is they'll say no or nothing will come and they won't say anything. So it's sort of interesting because you probably didn't expect Brian Eno to help you guys produce a song, but you asked and he was like, yeah.
Yeah, well, it's just sort of like, well, why not? You know, if
Yeah.
he said he liked it, and I'm not asking him for some big thing, but it's we also left it completely open, and the thing that I sent him it wasn't like, can you make this song sound like With or Without You? Thank you. You know,
Hmm.
it was something that was much more, I thought, bold down his lane,
Hmm.
very very spacious, and you know, a bunch of voices singing and no
Hmm.
drums, and you know, that kind of thing. So it was, I thought he'll know what to do with this.
So, what is your role in Loma since you are not, I mean, for those who might not know of Loma, you are not the main singer, which is something we're
No,
not used to from you because we're so used to Shearwater and hearing your voice. So, what would you say your role is in Loma? Are you the songwriter?
Svengali.
Okay.
No, it was first, it was a challenge to try to write for another person's voice because I'd never really done it, and that was, well, you know, really the challenge of the first record, and trying to imagine words and songs that I would like to hear Emily's voice sing. But
Hmm.
early in the process, we made a mistake that, uh, where we recorded Emily's voice in for a song at the wrong sample rate. I think we recorded her at 48 by accident, and then played it back, and we're like, oh, you know, which, if for anyone listening who that doesn't make sense to, it's just, it's sort of like with if you speed up a tape and uh, recorded on it and then played it back at normal speed, everything would be kind of slowed down like this.
Right.
And but it was just a little bit, and the result was very strange. It was as if you had taken Emily and somehow turned up some life experience knob or something. Like she was like projected her 10 years into the future.
Hmm.
She just sounded a little older, a little deeper, and it was someone that was, it was a voice that we all liked, but it didn't sound quite like her, and she
Hmm.
loved it. And so we went, all right, well, this is your voice from now on in this band. So that's how we record all of her vocals.
Oh, I would have never known that. You can't really tell.
No, exactly. It's not that pronounced, but, and there's, I think there's one or two little moments where backing vocals or things where she's at normal speed, but it's
Hmm.
almost all this altered thing. We call it Loma Lady. And because it's this projected person, you know, that's not exactly Emily or me or Dan, there's a lot more freedom. You know, it's like, you know, wearing a mask enables you.
Yeah. So did you
And
do that again on this new record?
we sure did, yeah. We kept that going, and this time I wasn't as worried about writing for Emily's voice, but it's still a challenge to figure out what that voice wants to say and what the, uh, you know, what the subject ought to be. And yeah, it's really a fascinating process. Probably the most difficult record I've ever worked on.
Hmm.
I think Dan would probably agree.
The first one or the new one?
The new one. The first one
Hmm.
was what came, you know, went up sort of by itself, and then, but this one we did a lot of wandering around before we found things that resonated with everybody. Because the rule is that we all have to agree,
Hmm.
and or it can be two against one, but it's, ideally we all agree. That's sort
Right.
of the nice thing about a three-person structure is that it's either you all agree or it's two against one.
Yeah, there's never really a tie.
No. And uh, so there were some things that it was just like it was like watching a horse race where you can't tell who's going to win. You know, it's like
Mhm.
one horse takes the lead and then it falls well back in the pack before the end. So things surprised us all the way up to the end of that record.
So would you say that your lyrics for Shearwater are usually very personal, or do they tend to be more narrative, or both, like fiction narrative?
I don't feel like I do fictional songs ever,
Hmm.
but that's more because I'm more concerned with the emotional truth of the song. Um, and I know good fiction, of course, expresses emotional truth, but uh, I mean, on that last Loma record, there was a song called "I Don't Want Children" that was one of my favorite songs. I
Mm.
felt like that I'd ever worked on, and that lyric just turned up out of the blue all of a sudden, which almost never happens to me.
Hmm.
And I really liked that, even though that character doesn't necessarily embody exactly me or exactly Emily or but it just goes, it keeps twisting in different ways that I was really interested in.
Yeah, because I was going to ask if you sort of halted the personal side of your songwriting for Loma, or if it just sort of changed.
No, it just changed. No, I didn't feel like I was like having to write. Um, no, I didn't feel like I was having to suddenly play a different character exactly. It's just that I think it's kind of like the thing of wearing your characters lightly.
Right.
Like you should be able to take them off like a jacket or whatever. It's just a way to amplify certain feelings or certain thoughts that you have. Working on the new Shearwater record's been fun because the suddenly that filter has been removed again, and I haven't recorded any Shearwater music singing in quite a while now. I mean, it's been since 2015, I guess.
You recorded the vocals for the last record in 2015.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah,
Yeah.
2015, because then it came out 2016, right?
Yeah.
Is
So
that
it
right?
has been
Yeah.
somewhere around there. Yeah.
Yeah, so
So it has been
almost
a
5
while.
years. Yeah. And I feel like I've done a bunch of singing, but that was because of the Bowie thing, which for those of you who don't know, it was that Shearwater and friends got together and recreated the three Bowie Berlin records, Low, Heroes, and Lodger for WNYC in this big live performance. And that was such a mammoth undertaking of trying
Yeah,
to
I'll
figure
say.
out how those records worked and, actually try to duplicate them
Hmm.
um, live in a one-shot performance, which we then mixed here. But
Mm.
that was just a ton of singing. It was 30 something songs.
Right.
Then not easy songs either, because Bowie was vocally really demanding and kind of all over the place.
Yeah. So you kind of took a break from singing Shearwater songs for a while, and then you got into Loma, which didn't feature your voice very much. So it has, I guess, it really
No, I
has been
didn't
a
do
while.
any. No, it's been 5 years since I did vocals on a
Yeah.
Shearwater song. So it's fun to kind of then reacquaint with that process and think about ways you might want to change how I'm singing. Or
Yeah, and I mean
it's part of good.
I was just gonna say the last Shearwater record, you mentioned it. It was probably your shiniest or most expensive sounding record, but it did sort of feel different too. You were kind of already, to me anyway, it did sort of feel like you guys were already kind of shifting gears a little bit. I don't know
Oh
about
yeah,
stylistically or vocally, but
I mean, I was really happy with that record. There are moments that I really love. Um, and playing it live was really fun. We made a live record from that time that I feel really good about. Those live shows were really loud and exciting. And that was when I met Dan and Emily from Cross Record, because they opened for us on all those tours.
oh, so that's how the Loma relationship came to be, I guess.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
loved watching their set every night, and I still don't quite understand how they did it. It was just that two people were making such a gigantic sound,
Hmm.
but uh, I thought I just love to I wanted to work with these people.
It felt to me like Jet Plane and Oxbow, the last record, was maybe Shearwater's most political record. I don't know if you would think that's correct.
Oh yeah, I that record seems pretty like almost like it knew the future or something.
Yeah, I know because you recorded it before 2016,
Hmm.
and yet it does have a real political edge and a real prescience to it.
Well, that's one of the, as you know, it's one of the fun things about making art is that your subconscious knows things that your conscious mind doesn't know yet, and um, sometimes that stuff will manifest.
Yeah.
But yeah, it just was real. I felt real scared. I felt
Mhm.
like all the most virulent things about the United States um, were multiplying it at a cancerous rate, and they did.
And they didn't really cease either.
No, no, it's still going. I mean, it does feel like um, it, it's just such an entropic time.
Is that something that's been impacting your songwriting lately?
Oh, for sure. Yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely.
Yeah.
And but both in a uh, you want to take it um, head on, and also you want to flank it too. You know, like the it makes you really look really hard at the ugliness of some things because
Mhm.
you have to, because if we don't do that, we're lost.
Yeah.
And but also at the beauty of other things and the
Oh,
way
definitely.
those are tangled up together.
Well, I mean, some people have been talking about with this pandemic about sort of how a lot of people have been becoming maybe kinder outwardly, or like more personable to people they don't know. I mean, even people I know have had this experience where they're sort of just, taking a walk and everyone waves at them, which is something that never would have happened before. And there was someone talking on the news the other day about how more people are sort of feeling more connected to people or wanting to be more connected to people. But then my worry is just that I hope it doesn't go away when this is over.
Well, some of it will.
Of course, some of it will. Yeah, that's sort of inevitable. And I guess it's good to know that it was ever there.
Yes.
Um, but yeah, I mean, of course, we could all stand to be kinder and more personable in our lives, and it'd be nice if it didn't take a crisis to bring that out, and then a non-crisis to erase it all.
Well, I was thinking that, the last really big world shaping thing you can think of is kind of like World War II,
Hmm.
and the all the different ripple effects of that. And I was afraid that something like on that scale was going to have might be that the world might summon that up before the Trumpian fever would break. And uh, by comparison, this thing's relatively almost benign. But I wouldn't feel that way if I were dying in a hospital or somebody that I cared
No,
about,
I
or if I
know.
lived in Venezuela, or if
Hmm.
there's so many. Uh, the world of people in the United States who use the internet is small compared to the number of people there are in the world, and it gets very hard to remember that when you're spending all day on Google News and on
Yeah,
your email account, which I'm just as guilty of as anybody. But it's just not a representative sample.
yeah,
The I mean, if you just watch or listen to the news, you'd think nothing on earth ever happened except in the G20.
right. I mean, there's
And
nothing but coronavirus news right now,
right, but only as it
only in
pertains
certain
to China,
places.
Europe, and the United States.
Yeah,
A little bit in Russia. Every once in a while, there'll be some story about something that's happening in Africa or South America, but it's so rare.
yeah, it is.
And that's part of what I was trying to get at with my book, because my book takes place entirely in South America, because it's about this strange group of South American birds of prey called caracaras, which Darwin met in the 1830s and wondered about. But one in particular that he met in the Falklands, he was wondered about it because it seemed to be only there, and he couldn't figure out why it was only there.
Hmm.
But he just set this down and never picked it up again. So the book kind of takes that as its question and answers it, but you have to answer it by way of like 65 million years of history.
Yeah. It's a nonfiction book?
Yeah, it's sort of a
Yeah.
nonfiction travel, natural history,
Mm-hmm.
adventure epic.
But I
I mean,
mean,
all you have to be ideally is, just have to kind of like nature, sort of, in order for this to reach you. You don't have to be a bird specialist or anything.
right. And I mean, birds in nature and history has long been sort of a set of themes or motifs in Shearwater's lyrics. It's not like a new fascination.
Yeah, certainly like the natural world and people's relationship or lack thereof to it.
Yeah.
Although there are fewer birds in actual Shearwater songs than anybody thinks. So it was like one song that mentions a couple of. I mean,
No, I definitely believe that. It's
I'm not that
definitely,
guy who writes songs about birds. I'm just not.
it reminds me of the tallest man on earth. He when he was doing like YouTube videos 2 years ago or so of new songs, and there's one called Rivers, and he was like, yeah, sorry, here's another song about a river. Because he lives in Sweden where he's just surrounded by farmland and rivers, so he's like, I just write about what I see.
They're very compelling. I mean,
Yeah, but it's just funny because I think people do think Shearwater, maybe it's the name of the band, isn't Shearwater a kind of bird?
oh yes, it is.
Yeah, so I think some people do sort of just immediately think, oh, that's just another song about birds or animals. But if you look in the lyrics, they're really not.
Is it too late for me to change the name?
To
I think
what?
it's too late.
What would you change?
No,
What would you change it to
God, I
if you
have
could
no
change
idea.
it? I know, not
Crystal
a bird.
balls. No, I
Yeah.
don't know.
Why did you pick Shearwaters to name yourself anyway?
I just like the sound of the word, to be honest. It
I
was a
know
name.
when I first heard you guys, I don't know how old I was, but when I first heard you guys, probably when Rook was coming out, I didn't even know Shearwater was a bird. I just sounded like a cool word.
Yeah, uh, it's a wonderful name for an animal because it sort of describes an attribute of their flight. Because shearwater are seabirds that they very rarely come to land ever, and they have some of the longest migrations of any bird actually, because they'll fly these. Some of them fly these giant figures of eight around the entire Atlantic Ocean, and even though it's not like the Arctic tern where it's going pole to pole, they cover more distance in a year. And
Yeah,
they live a really long time, but their world only sort of intersects with ours, or
that's
with
not the
most
worst
people's rather.
metaphor for a band, though.
Oh heavens, no, no! It's long-lived migrants.
Yeah, who travel for a very long time.
Yeah, exactly, and travel and travel. Although I think that I don't know, that might be done as far as certainly it's been canceled right now, which is
Oh
funny.
yeah,
I was supposed to be on a tour with Jamie Stewart from Shoo Shoo. He came here and we rehearsed and we got this awesome two-piece Shoo Shoo set together, but now we can't do it.
that
But
would have been cool.
well, I think it'll still happen just later.
Yeah, I know.
But it's
Thor was saying he doesn't think anyone will tour probably through the rest of the year because
oh no,
there's no vaccine and there won't be probably till the spring.
no. Live music is canceled for now, which in many ways I do not mind one bit because the last Loma tour that we did lost a huge amount of money and was totally miserable.
Oh
We were really good, but it was just like I can't do another one of those.
yeah,
And not like uh, I'm not saying that like, oh, I can't go on. I'm saying that like financially I can't take a hit like that again.
yeah.
And so the world of sort of small rock clubs is I mean I've learned all there is to learn, I feel, from the world of the small rock clubs of the US and Europe.
Hmm.
So unless I could play different places or somewhere that's bigger or something, I just like if I roll up to another dive in the UK where they you got there at the load-in time and its doors are still locked, you sit there a long time and some guy comes out and grunts at you and it's like, oh, Pete's not here. And you just file into this grubby dressing room and the sound's going to be shit and like it's just no, I'm not doing it
Yeah,
anymore.
yeah.
Not if I'm not getting paid.
Right. I mean, I've so I'm based in Connecticut, so we have a couple um nice places finally, which is good. They just opened one a couple years ago, like a newly renovated one by Yale, which I think has been fruitful.
Oh yeah, what's that called?
College Street Music Hall.
College Street Music Hall. But
Yeah,
that's like
it's
a 600 cap kind of place.
Probably.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's two tiers. There's like a main floor and then a tier, but the tier's pretty small. And it's just the seated tickets go up there, and occasionally they put seats out on the bottom tier.
But this is the thing:
Um,
is that for Shearwater, we've never like there's some like we could get an audience of that size in like New York, maybe
mhm.
Los Angeles, Seattle, London. I mean, the number of cities that we can do that in is probably like 6 or 7.
Yeah.
And unless you can do that reliably, it's just like touring, it will just like destroy you.
Yeah.
So I kind of think like when this next record comes out, what I might do is go like, okay, we're playing 10 shows, period. That's it. And even if we lose money on it, we'll lose less money
Right.
than doing 30 shows where you're playing Monday night in Boise kind of things.
Yeah, I just always feel like that would kind of make more sense to do, even if you do more than one, just multiple short stints where you can kind of play some shows on good nights in good places and then take a break and then do it again some other time.
Well, this is what anybody in the higher tax brackets of the music business does. The problem is
Hmm.
that when the expenses are so high, in terms of you got to rent the van, you got to get everybody to the place you're trying to go to. They're not close together, and
Yeah.
it just like there's always been this kind of like, well, bands will do it anyway. It's like, well, I don't know. Well, maybe they will, but not necessarily me.
Yeah.
I'm not
Yeah.
I'm
Well,
not
it's
22
expensive.
anymore.
Yeah.
It's really expensive, and it I mean, like that last Loma tour lost something like $40,000.
Oh, geez.
I was just crazy, and this is a
Yeah.
tour that the record label has asked you to go out and do
Yeah.
to like promote the record, but you're like, I'm playing for people in Sheffield. I don't see how this is really helping me. We could have made 3 records and made some awesome video things for the same amount of money
Yeah, it's true.
that we
And I mean,
just put in a pile and set on fire.
I know that the record industry is waning or weaker than it used to be, but touring
Much.
doesn't always work out either.
No, that's this
So,
idea people have that touring is like
yeah.
somehow it's like, don't you make all your money on tour? No, it's the same as any other part of American life. The top 1% makes all the money.
Yeah. Well, it's true. If you go to some huge concert, first of all, the ticket was $100. Second of all, the T-shirt is $50. So it's like it's a 5,000 person venue, 10,000 person venue. Like obviously, those people are doing probably much better. You think of like a Taylor Swift concert. You know
Oh
how much
yeah,
money
yeah,
probably, or like a
yeah.
Beyonce concert. But then you go to someone on a smaller scale, people who maybe just play a few shows here and there, and they show up to 12 people, and it's just like, well, no, I don't make my money from touring.
Yeah, no, there's no way, and it's I think it's there's a threshold at about like if you can get 500 or 600 to 1,000 people to come see you in like most major cities of the U.S., that's relatively sustainable. Like you can do
Hmm.
that, but below that, it starts to become really difficult, and below that, it starts to become impossible.
I know, and I'm thinking so much lately about the musicians who maybe are below that threshold, and
Which is most of us.
yeah, and make their right now, especially because they make their livelihood on some things that can't happen right now, or maybe their records are getting delayed, or their merch can't be shipped out. And I'm just thinking, oh man, like they finally got to a point in their lives where maybe music is their main income, and now it's nothing's happening.
Yeah, and
So
it's been
I mean,
just suspended. It's been well. I mean, the thing that saved me in the last 2 years has been Patreon,
hmm.
and that kind of a model for a long time I was uh, it's like Sub Pop kind of discouraged me from doing it, and there was a sort of a stigma about it. But I was finally like, look, for on Spotify to make say $80,000 sounds like a lot of money to me.
Oh, me too.
You'd have to get you'd have to get 20 million plays of a thing,
Yeah,
and to make the same amount of money, and that's if you controlled all the rights and everything on the thing. To make
right.
the same amount of money on Patreon, all you'd have to do is get 800 people to give you $10 a month.
Yeah,
Now, I can't do that, but it's like, but convincing 800 people of something sounds much easier than convincing 20 million of something.
that's a very good way to put it. Yeah, it definitely does.
So it's, uh, you get 800 people's like not too much bigger than like the Bowery Ballroom.
Yeah.
So being able to do that, even with has completely, it's for the first time in my life, I've had a small, predictable income,
Mm-hmm.
and now, and I've tried to set expectations very low,
Mm-hmm.
where production values are zero. All the things, the musical things I do on it, are mostly just played into my phone. Um,
Mm-hmm.
I only do one take of stuff. I take a little care in, the writing the posts or whatever, but that's what I just did it as an experiment to see if, like, if I just keep doing this thing that I'm already doing, and that's like the thing, that's what you get. I'm not sending you a bunch of incentives. I'm not sending you a bunch of different things. It's just like
Yeah.
what you get is that I keep doing this mostly.
I know that is what I like about the Patreon model. I mean, you can offer rewards obviously that are tangible and physical things, but when people do only that or do a lot of that, I'm just thinking it feels like Kickstarter, where you could send, oh, you donated $10, so you get a purple copy of this CD or something, like you get this special thing, versus something like Patreon. People usually, if they're donating to a Patreon, it's just because they want content. They just want more work. They want you to be able to keep making work.
Yeah, it's
And
not. If they don't want a bunch of tchotchkes.
no, not usually. They want, like, if they donate $5 or $10 to the Shearwater or whatever campaign, it's because they want you guys to stay around. It's not because they want some little, like, yeah, like you said, like a little figurine or like some little thing. So it's kind of nice. It does feel more personal that way too. It feels like, okay, so everyone who donated, they actually care enough to donate money to us to then have us be enabled to make more work for them.
Yeah, yeah.
It's like this nice symbiosis that you guys can have going on, which maybe you couldn't have had otherwise.
I mean, I say that all, knock on wood, because I keep thinking, like, oh God, am I going to lose all my patrons because everybody's just got it, is just strapped. Uh,
Mhm. I know, that's true too.
but luckily that hasn't happened yet, and I think people are getting more used to this sort of idea of kind of subscribing to stuff. So you just sort of fold yourself in as yet another subscription,
Yeah. It's kind
and
of a nice model though for that give and take.
yeah, and it's like I think, like, music is basically free, but musicians can maybe be more expensive.
Yeah, that's true though. That's a good lens to look through, because it's like, okay, maybe you can go stream my album on Spotify and I'll get, a 20th of a cent for that, but you guys need to then hopefully contribute to the making of that album, and we can get some sort of income for that album that's separate from the streaming income.
Right, that's separate from the streaming, because in the streaming world, only the people who have bazillions of hits are making any money.
Yeah,
But
and some people probably, the big people probably have the bots replaying the songs forever.
who knows? Of course, this is like, what was it Oscar Wilde said, that when bankers get together for dinner, they talk about art, and when artists get together for dinner, they talk about money.
Sounds right to me.
So we've been, sorry, I mean, we've been in this topic for a while, but it is very much on everybody's mind, and I think especially right now it is. I just feel grateful not to have a job to lose at the moment, in a way.
I know I'm a English teacher, so I luckily didn't lose my job either. We just moved it to online, but so many people, it's just inhospitable now for them to work,
Yeah.
unfortunately.
Well, it's I don't know. I felt very grateful to be able to keep working on the things that I am working on, that I'm still interested in them, that they still at least seem of some value to me. The book is, I have no idea what anybody's going to think about it, because it's been such a long process and I'm the only one doing it.
Yeah.
Uh, I don't know if it's like this for you, but the solipsism of writing gets on my nerves after a while.
Well, it is sort of like being in a vacuum a little bit. I mean, you are the only audience for so long. You
It's
can't
like,
really see it for what it is after a certain point.
I also feel like it kind of turns me into an asshole. Like, I become so completely preoccupied with this thing that's only in my own mind, that it gets harder to see and be with and interact with other people in the genuine and receptive
Yeah.
way that you ought to as a human being.
Yeah.
And uh, music is, because it's because music is generally more collaborative. Uh, that feeds that it feeds other parts of your psyche, in a way that sometimes seems more healthy. It doesn't seem more
Yeah.
healthy when you're driving 10 hours from San Francisco to Portland to play a show that night, but when you're working with people who you like and respect on a recording project, it's wonderful.
Yeah, I mean, that type of experience is so vastly different, I would imagine, from working on a novel or even a screenplay or a solo record or something where you're the only person. It's that communal feel is probably has a very different effect on you.
Well, even just working with one other person is great. I mean, that's
Yeah.
most what the last couple records have been that I've worked on. It's been me and an engineer, and then other people come in every once in a while. But
Yeah.
there's never, if I haven't, it's been many years since I ever had like, let's get the band together in a room and play.
Yeah.
That only happens on tour. It almost never, in my experience, is good for trying to come up with things.
Yeah. So the last thing I want to ask, since I've been asking this, is what is one thing that you've been watching or listening to or reading in your quarantine? If anything. I know you've had a lot of stuff you're working on. I don't know if that's left no time for other stuff.
Well, Glenn Gould Bach 2 and 3-part inventions, always a winner.
Hmm.
Sege Mariam, Emoet Sege Mariam Gebru, the Ethiopian piano player.
Oh,
I
okay.
think she's Ethiopique 21. It's such a wonderful piano solo, wonderful record.
Hmm.
There was a thing called the Rocks and Waves Song Circle that I got really into.
I haven't heard of
And
that.
you can look that up on Spotify.
Probably, yeah.
And then a bunch of Eno stuff, of course, because I've built a statue of him in the front yard.
What else are you going to do with your time?
Well, especially that old the discrete music record I still love. I love the stuff with the string quartet he did on the flip side of it. Evening Star, that sort of comp of a bunch of different things he did with Fripp. Thursday Afternoon. And that recent somebody time stretched music for airports out to 6 hours. And
I didn't catch that one.
Oh, it's great. It's just as good as the original, but
it's kind of going back to what we were talking about before.
Yeah, exactly. It's like, why not have 6 hours of music for airports?
Yeah, that's funny. I'll have to look into that.
So those in particular, I would say, are some things I've been listening to lately. I think there's so much appetite for something to calm your nerves right now.
I know
it helps a lot. There's also a radio station out of Central Texas called Simply Beautiful 91.3 KNCT. You can find them online. They're a public radio station out of North Central Texas University, which I think is in Killeen. And they play mostly instrumental music from the 40s through the late 80s. It sounds a little bit like it might be a Christian station or something, but it isn't. And it is just, there is no other music library like it. It routinely surprises me and delights me and makes me laugh, and is sometimes actually simply beautiful. Sometimes it's just schmaltzy, but then sometimes it sort of seems to become self-aware, like they'll play the Twin Peaks theme, or they never identify the songs. There's, at the top of the hour, there's the AP Network News, which is always really jarring.
Right.
Every once in a while, there'll be 2 or 3 of the pieces in an hour will have singing, so you never know when somebody's going to start singing. But usually it's an oboe, or or a classical guitar, or some of it's like DX7 land from the early 80s. And it's really rad, or really bad. But the stuff from like the 50s is magnificent. And they have a swing band show that's all day on Sundays, and on Saturday night they have a great sort of like 50s R&B show. Saturday night sock hop, and they have meteorologist Bill Hecky, who is so much the star of the station that he is the only person depicted on their website, which I strongly advise you visit. And he gives the weather in a way unlike anyone else gives the weather. He has a really interesting speaking voice, and he loves all the details of weather. He gets very excited if anything dramatic might happen. He actually has apologized for storms not being as strong as he hoped they would be. And he reads off wind speeds with the speed of an auctioneer. And so it's listening to him give his week-long forecast, which he only does on like Mondays or Tuesdays. Usually it's just the day and the day after that, is sort of 5 bewildering minutes at the end of which you have no idea what the weather is going to be. But he sure did talk for a while. It's wonderful.
Yeah.
Simply Beautiful. It's Simply Beautiful 91.3. I unironically love this radio station.
Well, it's nice to have a public radio station that is actually reliable.
And I don't mean to give Bill Hecky too much
different.
of a... I don't mean to give him too much guff either. He's really good at what he does, and he has a lot of enthusiasm for what he does, and I'm very glad that he does it.
Well, that's good. I'm glad that there's something nice to tune into every now and then.
You won't regret it. I'm telling you. That and Falkland Islands radio service is also always a wonderful listen. If you wonder what people are listening to 7,000 miles away on a tiny set of islands in the South Atlantic, you can find out online.
That's so cool that you can find that.
All right, Jeremy. Well, I got to go back into this session here, but it's really been a pleasure to talk with you.
Yeah, thank you so much for joining me. It's been a nice time talking to you too.
Take care, sir.
Thanks, you too.